Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life Publishing, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at Trevor the Frog. Now Trevor is made using a red heart amigurumi crochet kit, and everything you need to make Trevor is included in your kit. You're going to have your yarn, your stuffing, a pattern, a crochet hook, a locking stitch marker, a yarn needle, and the black yarn you'll need to embroider his face, and I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks you're going to need. So let's jump right in and start working on Trevor. As we do with so many pieces of amigurumi, we're going to start with a magic ring. I'm going to take the cut end of my yarn, we call that the tail yarn, and put it over my hand. I'm going to give myself a little space between my index and middle finger. And I'm going to go over my index finger, under my middle finger, and over my index finger again, making an X. Now I'm going to take my crochet hook, I'm going to go under this leg of the X, I'm going to grab that leg of the X and pull it up. Now I have a loop on my hook and I'm ready to crochet, and I'm going to get my fingers out of the way. Now the yarn that is attached to the ball or the skein, we call that the working yarn. So you want to make sure when you're beginning to crochet that you're using your working yarn and not that tail, which is just sort of hanging out there. Now we're going to make both legs the exact same way, except for the first leg we're going to end off, and for the second leg we're going to leave it attached. So we're going to start with a chain 1, and then we're going to put 6 single crochet in the ring. And to do that, I'm going to insert my hook in the ring, yarn over back to front, and draw up a loop. Now I have 2 loops on my hook, 1, 2, going to yarn over and draw it through both. If you've crocheted before and you're comfortable making single crochets, this is the same way you would make a single crochet. You're just sticking your hook in the ring to begin instead of into a chain or an existing stitch. Once again, I'm going to insert my hook into that ring, yarn over and draw up a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, 1, 2, I'm going to yarn over and draw through 2. So that is 2 single crochets in my ring, and I need 6, so I'm going to make 4 more. All right, now it tells me to tug tail to tighten ring. So I'm going to hold on to my stitches with one hand, but not too tight. I want this tail yarn to be able to slide through the bottom. So I'm untwisting my tail, and I'm going to pull, 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 and really don't be afraid to give it a big pull. And then now my stitches are all in a round, which is how we want to work moving forward. The other thing it's going to tell me to do, and this is very important, is to take your locking stitch marker and mark the last stitch of the round. Every round we do moving forward, you're going to move that stitch marker up so that you always know when your round begins and ends, because it's really important to keep everything nice and even. For round 2, it says increase in each stitch around. And to increase, all we're going to do is put 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So there's 1, and then a second one in the same place. So for each of these 6 single crochets, we're turning them into 12 because we're putting 2 into each one. So once again, single crochet in the next single crochet, and then put another one in the same space. And we're going to do this one all the way around. For rounds 3 and 4, you're going to single crochet in each single crochet around. So we have 12 single crochet at the beginning of this round. We're going to have 12 single crochet at the end of the round. And the next one will be the same. We call this working even, when you're doing the same number of stitches and there's no increasing or decreasing or other shaping. So I'm going to put in rounds 3 and 4. And since this is the second leg, I made my first one earlier, I'm not going to end off the yarn. This is also a good time to take this original tail and weave it in while you can still reach. All right, here is the second leg. Here is the first leg. So we're up to the part of the pattern where it says body. round 5 joining legs, chain 2. And we want to go a little bit more loosely than we normally would because we're going to have to work into this chain later 2 different times. So I want to make sure I have plenty of room in there to get my hook in. Now it says working on the first leg, so that's this one, single crochet in first stitch made. So the first stitch I made is going to be the one after that one that's a little higher up. So I'm going to put a single crochet right there. Let's see if I can get my working yarn in the right place. All right, now we've joined our 2 legs. Now it says single crochet in each of next 11 stitches. So there were 12 stitches on this leg, and I've already worked in 1, so there's 11 left. So I don't have to count at this point. I'm just going to make a single crochet in every stitch around until I get to the end of the round of this leg. Now it says working in chain 2, single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Now I like to work in the back or the bump of the chain because I think it makes life a little easier. And so there is that bump. Let's see if I can pull it out. This is why we made them loose. They're a little snug. So then I'm going to single crochet in 1 bump. And then single crochet in the next bump. Now it says working on the second leg, single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. So I don't want to go in this one because there's a stitch already in there. I want to start right here. And I'm going to single crochet in each single crochet around because we had 12 and I want 12. So I'm just going to single crochet in each stitch. So when I get to the 12th stitch, I need to take that marker out, and I'm not going to put it right back there. I'm going to have to move it in a minute. Let's talk about where. So there's my 12 stitches, and then it says to work 1 stitch in the unused side of each of those 2 chains. So I worked in the 2 chains going one way, and now I'm working in the 2 chains going the other way. And because I worked in the back bump, I have that nice little ridge sitting right there for me to work in. So that's 2. So now I'm going to put my marker here because this is the new end of the round. And it's telling me I have 28 single crochet in the round. So that's 12 from one of the legs, 12 from the other leg is 24. And then I have 2 singles going this way and 2 singles going the other way for 4 more. 24 plus 4 is 28. For round 6, it says single crochet in each single crochet around. So we're just going to go and work 1 stitch in every stitch. And you can see that I have moved the marker up. For round 7, it says single crochet in each of next 6 stitches. I've already done 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it says increase in next stitch. And to increase, all we're going to do is put 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So there's 1 like we normally would, and then I'm going to put a second one in the exact same place. So we're taking 1 stitch and turning it into 2. And then it says single crochet in each of next 12 stitches. So 1 and 12. Then we're going to put 2 single crochet in the next one for our increase. 1, 2, and then we're going to have 8 left, and that will take us to the end of the round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the stitch marker. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those stitches. Now for rounds 8 through 15, which is 8 rounds, we're just going to work even, by which I mean single crochet in each stitch around, making no increases and no decreases, and then we'll come back and look at round 16. So here we are, round 15 is completed. We have 30 single crochet in our round, and we're moving on to round 16. It says single crochet in each of next 8 stitches and single crochet decrease. So we have done some increasing before, but now we're going to learn about decreasing. 7, 8, and to make a single crochet decrease, we're going to start the way we make a regular single crochet. So we're going to insert our hook in the stitch, yarn over and draw up a loop, and we have 2 loops on our hook. And now we're going to go in the next stitch, yarn over and draw up another loop, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3. We're going to yarn over and draw through all 3. So that is a single crochet decrease. Now it says we're going to do that 3 times. So that's in brackets. So you're going to go 8 stitches and then a decrease, 8 stitches and then a decrease, 8 stitches and then a decrease. Let's look at that decrease one more time. Insert your hook in the stitch as if you were going to make a regular single crochet, yarn over and draw up a loop, and then now go immediately into the next stitch, yarn over and draw up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3, yarn over and draw through 3. For round 17, you're going to single crochet in each stitch around, and then we're going to start with the stuffing. At the end of round 17, it says start stuffing legs and body, continue stuffing as you go. And the reason we can't wait until the end is because we have to get the stuffing down into these smaller parts. This may not look like a lot of stuffing, but when you open it up and the air hits it, you see it's going to expand, and there's plenty of stuffing in here to make Trevor nice and fluffy. And what I like to do is grab a small handful at a time, and then I kind of pull it apart to break up the chunks. I want to make sure, sometimes you get these little chunky bits in there, hardly ever, but sometimes. So I like to just sort of breaking up, make sure it's got some air in there. And then I'm going to start stuffing Trevor, and I want to make sure that we get some stuffing down into the legs. So I'm going to go ahead and start pushing that in there. And if I get stuck, if I can't get in there, I can use the rubber side of the crochet hook to help push it in. You don't want to use the hook side because that's going to stick out and get stuck. But for me personally, I feel like Trevor's legs are fat enough that I can get my finger in there. So I'm going to stuff and stitch and stuff and stitch and stuff, and following along for round 18, 20, 22, and 24. We're going to work the same way as we did for round 16, which is I'm going to have a certain number of stitches, and how many is going to be specified by the pattern. And then I'm going to do that decrease where I work 2 stitches into 1. And those alternate rounds are just single crochet in each stitch around. That's a work even row, no increasing or decreasing. And that's going to make Trevor sort of gradually get smaller to the top. When I get up to round 25, which is the last round I have to do for the body, it tells me to continue stuffing the body and fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. So we want to leave this tail yarn when we cut it to be long enough that we can sew the head on. So I'm going to keep working on the body, and then I'm going to start the head. Okay, I've completed round 25, and it says to fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. So it doesn't have to be super long, just long enough to get around that neck. So I'm going to trim my yarn and pull it up and give it a little tug so it doesn't come undone. And now I'm going to get that last little bit of stuffing in there while I'm thinking about it. I can always do this later. Now moving on, we have to make 4 more parts. We have to make the head, 2 arms, and 2 eyes. And they're all pretty much made the same way, and the same way as we began with our leg. So let's go over the magic ring one more time. Here, we'll set this aside. So once again, I'm going to bring my tail yarn over my hand. I'm going to spread my index and middle finger apart a little bit. I'm going to go ever so slightly on the diagonal over my index, under my middle, back over my index. And here's my X. I'm going to go under this leg, grab this leg and bring it up, get my fingers out of the way, and make sure that I am holding onto my working yarn. We're going to chain 1, put 6 single crochet in the ring. That would be 8 single crochet if you're making the eye. I'm going to hold onto my single crochets no matter how many there are. Pull that tail out and give it a firm tug. And then we have our stitches all set up to work in the round. We're going to remember to put our locking stitch marker on the last stitch of the round and to move it up every time we complete a round. And then no matter what piece we're doing, we're going to follow along with the instructions. Working increases or decreases or working even, depending on what the pattern tells us, and doing our stuffing as we go. All right, here is my little head and my body, and we're moving on to the part that says assembly. It says sew head to body, making sure the ends of rounds meet at the back of the frog, and if necessary, add more stuffing if you need to. So these are pretty well stuffed. I don't feel like I need so much more. But if I wanted to, now would be the time. So I'm using one of the tails that we have, and there I'm lining up my ends of rounds. So I'm just going to go underneath the bottom stitch and grab both legs of the stitch, and then grab the 2 legs of the stitch over it. It would be adjacent if this was sewed together, and I'm caught on his little leg, so let me grab that. It gets easier once you get started, I promise. And you're going to want to keep kind of pushing that stuffing in there. So I'm going to the next stitch on the bottom, and then the next stitch on the top. Next stitch on the bottom, next stitch on the top. And we're going to do this all the way around until the head is completely attached to the neck. When it's all attached, I want to weave the ends in, which is a little hard to do when you can't see the back. But what I like to do is sort of go into the stitching and try and catch the stitches in the back. So it's kind of hard to see this way, but my needle's going through the back of the stitches, and I want to make sure that I'm not seeing it on the front. So I'm going to use that to sort of anchor the thread a little bit, the yarn a little bit, so it doesn't come out. And then you don't have to do it this way, but the last thing that I do is I will put the yarn down in the same space where it came out, and I will have it just go through the stuffing and come out any old where a couple of inches away. And I'm going to pull that pretty tightly and trim it and close and let that end pop back in. What that does is it leaves the tail of the yarn inside the stuffing and makes it less likely to pull out. So I'm going to go ahead and weave that end in too. Then it says position arms on either side of body, 1 round below the neckline between rounds 24 and 25. So this round that I stitched up to the head, that was round 25. So basically they're saying just have it so the arm is right below the neckline. And I'm also going to do a little whip stitch here, trying to get a stitch from the actual body of Trevor and then go through the stitches. And I want to make sure that I catch both layers, the back and the front. I've kind of smushed it flat. And this only takes a couple of stitches to attach. It's not a very big piece. But I'm going to whip stitch that into place and then do the other arm. And then weave the end in the way we did earlier. And again, it's more of an art than a science. If you want to put a couple extra stitches in to make sure it's laying flat, that is perfectly fine. Next, I'm going to thread the long tail that I left onto one of my eyes, and I'm going to sew that at the top, and it says between rounds 2 and 6, and to sort of, again, squish it flat like we did the others. So there's 2 and 6, ever so slightly towards the front. So again, we're going to stitch both eyes in the exact same way we did the arms, by catching stitches on, in this case, the head, and then going through the eyes and making sure that we are catching both layers of the eyes, not just the back layer. And then after I get these stitches all the place I want them, then I can tighten them up a little bit and weave in that end, and then I'll sew in my other eye. All right, we want to embroider our pupils in each eye. And it tells us to make 3 or 4 stitches in the same place on each one. And then we want to embroider our little mouth, which says embroider mouth along 9 stitches, so 9 stitches wide, between rounds 9 and 10, and we're counting those rounds down from the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's try over here. Now the way I like to get started is to weave in the tail of my black yarn pretty much the same way we have been weaving in the ends of the yarn when we're done with it. So I'm going behind a few stitches and making sure that they're anchored. And then in this case, we're looking at the back here. I'm going to come up right in the middle and push it towards the front. So when I pull on this, I want to make sure that the cut end goes just inside the work, but I don't want to pull it out by accident. So I want to make sure it just goes in there and is hidden. And now let's see, now we're going to do 3 or 4 stitches here to make a nice bold eyeball. Two, 3. Now instead of cutting this and weaving it in and starting over, I'm going to run it through the work, sort of the same way that we did when we were hiding our tail, to come up, and it looks to me like it worked best. It was almost directly under that eye. So once again, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to bring the yarn right about here. Let's go ever so slightly on the inside. Now, this is more of an art than a science. So a couple of things. One is, as long as you're happy with your little friend's face, you're good. There are no embroidery police. The Amigurumi police are not going to come and get you and tell you that you did it wrong. And 2, if you get to the point and you don't like something that you did, just pop your tapestry needle off the end and you can use it to pick out the embroidery 1 stitch at a time. So I'm going to make my little vertical right here. Let's see. And then when I did my other little friend here, I took it all the way across 9 stitches, but I'm slightly concerned that that is not going to be very durable. So let's see, I'm going to go 3 stitches across. Let's get your arm out of the way, friend. And go back. I'm going to come out where I came out before. I'm going to go 3 more stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then bring it up, 1, 2, 3, away. And and then go one up to do my other, just the little curved end of my smile. I do keep squishing the poor guy in there though, don't I? And then I'm going to take that needle all the way up into the other eyeball, keeping it between the layers. I don't want to see the black on the outside. Let's put it right there. See, I like that better with the 3 stitches across. I just think it's a little more durable. It won't come out as quickly. And then I'm going to do my 3 stitches up here to match the other eye. 1, 2, 3, and then I will bring it down through the work and weave it in the way we did before, using it to catch a couple stitches on the back. And then running it under the work to leave a long tail. And here is our little friend, Trevor the Frog. So thank you so much for joining me while we made Trevor the Frog from our Red Heart Amigurumi kit. Once again, I am Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life Publishing. I appreciate you spending some of your crafting time with me today, and we look forward to seeing you again here real soon. Bye-bye.